And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Stashere, bringing you all the latest news in regards to your North Carolina Tar Heels. And of course, I am the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. And I also want to say Happy Halloween. That's why I'm wearing this hat today. It's a New Orleans Pelicans thing that they were giving out last year and everything like that. Let me take this off because I got to get back to the original. Also, got a new background. Got a new background here. Oh, this is the right one? No, this is the right one. Yeah, this is the right one. You got a new background and everything like that. And of course, you can't really see the hat that well. So I just wanted to show you my Halloween costume right here. Little Pelicans hat. But anyway, it's a huge week for not a huge week, but a huge night for the Tar Heels. Oh man, my sides are killing me. That was weird. But anyway, huge night for the Tar Heels. Got a big opportunity tonight for the Tar Heels to win. And you're going up against a Syracuse team that's been struggling. They're on a 4-game losing streak themselves. They don't have the greatest quarterback situation in the world because the starting quarterback, Steve Angeli, was lost for the year due to an Achilles tendon tear that he suffered against Clemson, which was last month against Clemson, and their 34-21 win. And that was also the last time they'd won. They haven't won since. Ricky Collins has been the quarterback, but he's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. They were averaging about 38 points per game offensively. Since the Clemson game, they've been averaging only 12.5 points per game. Their passing yards have gone down. They're throwing up for over 330, 340 yards per game. Now they've only been averaging 217 yards through the air per game. I mean, this is a Syracuse team that is struggling. I mean, they really are. And for the first time in a while, and no, I'm not saying this because there's a ghost that has, possessed me and everything like that, like the ghost of Tar Heel fans past that has possessed me. No, I really do think this. I think that the Tar Heels will win tonight. I really do. This is the first time since November of last season. I mean, this is almost a year since North Carolina's defeated a Power 4 team. That was against Wake Forest on November 16th. I think that was the date, but it was midway through November. That was the last time the Tar Heels even being a team that was of the Power 4 level. It's been almost a year. And for the first time in almost a year, I do think the Tar Heels will go into Syracuse and defeat the Orange of Syracuse University. I think the offense has been improving. It has been improving by much, but you could tell progress would be made. Gio Lopez seems a bit more comfortable in the pocket. And a lot of that's because he's healthier, but I also think that he's better playmakers around him now. Outside of Jordan Shipp, Kobe Pacer, we're starting to see the old Kobe Pacer. But Jared Tucker stepped up last week. He led the team with 8 catches for 41 yards. I think there's more weapons for Gio Lopez to throw to now, and that opens up the playbook. And when that happens, you get results like last week where you're able to achieve game highs in passing and rushing. However, they need to cut down on the turnovers. That's something they need to do, especially in the red zone. They've had 5 red zone turnovers. That is the most in the country. And then, of course, Gio has to be more consistent. The first half against Virginia, he threw for 173 yards. That was the most he had thrown all year in a game. His previous high, I think, was like 150, 160 something. So that was the highest. So that first half was the highest yardage he's ever had in a game, period. But the rest of the game, he only threw for between 30 and 40 yards, had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He had an awful second half, and he was able to throw a touchdown in overtime. But that was his last throw. Last of one of 2 throws we made because, of course, he had the 2-point conversion that ended up failing when Ben Hall was stopped just short of the end zone. So, North Carolina's, proved offensively, but defensively, that's where they made the biggest rise. They're 50, believe it or not. The Tar Heels are 50th in total defense in the country. They're in the top 50. That's a huge improvement from last year because around this time last season, they were in the 90s. So it's a massive, massive improvement for this defense. And then also, they're number 25 in rushing defense. So they're in the top 25 in rushing defense. And they're also a top 10 defense when it comes to red zone situations. Of course, they need to improve on some other areas like stopping people on third down. But for the most part, this unit has been improved. And then also, I think the biggest eye-opener really last couple of weeks has been, their pass rush. They've had 8 sacks in the last 2 games. They had 6 against Virginia. Tyler Thompson's really emerged as a prominent edge rusher. He's had 3 sacks in the last 2 games. Melkart Abu-Jade, of course, leads the team in sacks with 5. But he had 3 against Virginia. And I just want to preface this. Virginia's offensive line had only allowed 5 sacks all year leading up to that game. They gave it more sacks in that game than they had the whole entire year. So it was an incredible performance by not only UNC's defensive line, but also just pass rush in general. Usually the pass rushes really come from the linebackers. Now it's a lot more effective on the defensive line. And a lot of credit needs to go to Bob Diaco for the job that he's done with this unit. And, of course, we already know that the linebackers have been playing really well. We at this point, I think everyone trusts Andrew Simpson and Kamori House to do their jobs. But what about the defensive backfield, man? The defensive backfield has made strides. They haven't really given up much. The last 2 games, they've only allowed 200 yards, like 200, 203 yards per game through the air. Before that, I mean, they were giving up all kinds of big yardage. I mean, outside of that touchdown pass from Chandler Fields to Charles Harris, really Charles Harris should have been brought down by Marcus Allen, but Marcus Allen could not bring him down, which allowed Charles Harris to just easily walk into the end zone. They really haven't given up much big pass plays, to be honest with you. I mean, you used to give up big pass plays all the time. But and that's even more impressive considering the fact that Thaddeus Dixon is going to be out for a while, right? He might be out for the whole year to get prepared for the NFL. Who knows? So, I mean, a lot of credit needs to go to this defensive staff, including Steve Belichick and Jamie Collins, who's done a great job with he's coaching the inside backers. He's coaching Andrew Simpson and Kamori House. He's done a fantastic job with that unit. And, of course, a lot of credit needs to go to Brian Belichick, Bill's other son, and Armando Hawkins for getting these guys ready to play in a game. This defense is massively improved. Like I said, they're a top 50 defense in the country. They're top 20. They're in the top 25 in rushing defense, and they're top 10 in red zone defense. This group has improved not only over time, but it has improved since last season. That was the prediction I made before the season. I said that the defense was going to be better than the offense. I didn't think it was going to be by this much, to be honest, because that's how bad the offensive line has been. But I knew going into the year that the defense would be good. It looked shaky against TCU, and it looked shaky against Clemson. But for the most part, the defense has been the reason why North Carolina has been able to compete in these games. The last 2 games were literally determined by inches, right? I mean, they should have won the last 2 games. If they won the last 2 games, this is a team that has a 4-3 record rather than a 2-5 record, right? This team should have a winning record by now, and then with 2 opportunities to go to a bowl game, which would be against tonight against Syracuse. I think this is I think UNC will win this game tonight, and then also next week against Stanford, and Stanford isn't the greatest team either. So if they win those 2 games against Cal and Virginia, I really do think this team will be bowl eligible with 3 weeks remaining into the season. When you play against the Tobacco Road schools, Wake Forest, Duke, and of course NC State to wrap the season up. I mean, they should be in a lot different situation by now. But of course, that's in the past. You got to focus on the now. And right now, North Carolina is in prime position to win his first game against a Power 4 opponent in over a year. Of course, you wish things were differently for North Carolina, considering the fact that there was a lot of high expectations, and even Belichick and co. thought that they were going to be better than this. That's why they had the Hulu documentary, which they say it's been paused, but to be honest with you, it's been canceled because I haven't seen anybody from Hulu on campus. So I don't know why he's just saying that. I mean, it makes zero sense. And the thing is, I've said this before in the past, is that you just want this team to continue to improve. A lot of these guys, especially on the defense, will be back. A lot of the guys in the receiver corps will be back. The running backs, for the most part, should be back. And I know that there's the transfer portal, that didn't exist, and things could change. But if you're able to maintain a solid bit of production from this season, I think people look at North Carolina differently. You have a lot of continuity, right? Then, of course, you add a few key pieces in the transfer portal. Probably will go with the offensive line round because they're going to be because the 5 starters right now are all seniors. So you just fill in the spots you need. Maybe get some more talented guys for each position, but with a heavy focus on the offensive line. And I think this team could be better next year, just given who's coming back, right? Greg Smith has been played a lot of reps as a backup, and he's performed pretty well. Jaden Patterson has really stepped up since that Dixon's injury, right? Jalen Thomas has been getting a lot of playing time. Caleb Costa will be back. Kamori House will be back. Tyler Thompson and possibly Melkart Abujade should be back, right? I mean, a lot of these guys are going to be coming back on the defensive side of the ball. In the receiving room, in the receiving running back room, those are 2 groups I had concerns about. They have some potential. Of course, we just haven't seen it because there's been a lot of questionable play calling for the most part. I think, they were dealing with injuries, of course, with Gio Lopez and all this type of stuff. But a lot of those guys will be back except for Kobe Paysour. Jordan Shipp still has eligibility. Nathan Leacock still has eligibility. Madrid Tucker is a freshman. Chris Culliver, hopefully, things can get worked out with him. He should be back for another year unless he transfers. Like Jake Johnson, the tight end, will be back. Devarius Green will be back. And, of course, you added 6 wide receivers through the high school ranks for next season. I don't know what's going on with Gio Lopez. And really the most interesting part will be, also the running back room, Damon June, Ben Hall, Davion Goss. I think all of them will be back. Maybe 2 or 3 return because of the transfer portal and stuff like that. So we'll see there. But really the biggest issue really is the quarterback room, right? We got Gio Lopez and Max Johnson. Max Johnson's out of eligibility. Gio, we don't know if he's going to remain the quarterback for next year. Maybe they could go in a different route. There's also going to be staff changes as well. Probably expect that because, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think that's where you can see the offensive staff changes. So, how the team looks next year will determine about, whether or not they make changes on the staff. And then, of course, the guys who are currently on the team, the guys you don't expect to transfer do transfer. So it'll be very interesting. But going back to the Syracuse game, this is a game that they should win. I do think they'll win like a score. It'll be like 28-21. I think it'll be a close game. I don't think UNC score over 30 points, but I think they do just enough offensively to win the game. And I think they do just enough defensively to win this game. And they improve to 3-5. I know that sounds weird to improve to 3-5. But you want this team to continue to improve. And it starts with Syracuse, because if they lose against Syracuse, I really don't think they're going to win another game. I really don't. And I think this is the best opportunity to win a game. This should be a huge confidence booster for this team moving forward. And really, if you look at the rest of the schedule, it's much more manageable than we all thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year, right? Stanford's not a very good team. Wake Forest is, they're 5-2, but Wake Forest, I would say it's a winnable game. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. It's not going to be like Clemson. Well, not Clemson, but I don't think the talent differential is different between the two. I think maybe Wake Forest might have the slight edge, but not by much. Duke, should be much better than they actually are. They just, like North Carolina, keep shooting themselves in the foot. And then NC State, their offense is fantastic, right? Hollywood Smothers, and of course their quarterback CJ Bailey. But their offense is great. Their defense is absolute trash. So those are all on the next. These next we're 2-5. So these next 5 games are all very winnable for North Carolina. And the fact that they're able to hang in there with Virginia and Cal, teams that will be bowl eligible, lets me know that they're not only improving, but they could possibly make a push for a bowl game. It doesn't seem likely right now, right? But all you need is 4 wins and you're bowl eligible. That's all you need. If they could just get this, if they just win 4 of the next 5 games, which is a lot, right? But, you got Syracuse and Stanford. Those are easily your most winnable games. And then maybe you could steal 2 away from the North Carolina schools. I think it's possible. It's not a high chance. It's not a likely chance, but there is a chance. And it starts tonight with a win over the Syracuse Orange. Once again, I'm your host, Grant Sashray. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I not only am the host of the said podcast, but I'm also the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Make sure to check out all of our content on our website at si.com/college/UNC, where you can find all the latest news in regards to your North Carolina Tar Heels. I'll see y'all later. Peace.